Hi, everyone. Welcome. So glad that you're able to join us. My name is Yasmine-Imani McMorrin, and welcome so much to the Connect with Yasmine event. I am super honored to be running for Culver City Council. During the day, I serve as the interim Dean of Students and Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at USC Gould School of Law. And for our city, I serve as the Vice Chair of the General Plan Advisory Committee. And I want to get some announcements out now because I tend to forget them at the end. So for all of the Culver City Democratic Club members, I just want to remind folks to vote on the endorsements that I think is due by 9 p.m. tonight. So check your emails for the election buddy email, and please vote for progressives. If you are on, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please share out the feed to your friends. And we want to make sure that folks are plugged in and know about our campaign. So that's hashtag Yasmine, Team Yasmine and Vote McMorrin. And also coming up on, I believe, Saturday at 6:30, there is the Kids Scoop Media City Council candidates event at 6:30. So also letting folks know about that. And we have some other campaign events that I hope I won't forget to let you guys know, but please follow us on all the socials at Vote McMorrin and you'll be plugged in and you'll know what's coming up. So that was a lot. So thanks for giving me grace and sharing that. But basically, Connect with Yasmines are sort of a way to merge this COVID-19 socially distanced divide, right? I was really looking forward to knocking on doors and connecting with voters. But of course, we're staying safe and safer at home. So this is a way that we can still connect, and I can amplify things that I care about. I can share some of my awesome network who's doing really cool stuff, both locally here in Culver City, LA County, and sometimes beyond. So I'm really privileged to share these resources with you. And just really quick to just go over a little bit what our campaign is about. Equity is at the core of everything that I do, whether it's work or here at the city. And so we want to really infuse that into our city policies. We want to make sure that that is shown in our budget allocations. And we want to make sure that Culver City is really a safe and thriving community and neighborhood for all of our community members. So that is really at the crux of what we're trying to do. And that looks like, advocating for housing policies that support renters and work to prevent homelessness, and also providing paths towards housing for folks who are unhoused. It means adopting inclusive mobility policies to make our city more accessible for all members of our community. It means looking at our city budget and reallocating funds toward social programs that address community needs. And it also is a focus on, our environmental concerns. I don't know if you've looked outside today. It looks wild outside. So I hope you guys are staying safe and indoors. So we just want to make sure that we're creating and we have a sustainable Culver City for my daughter, for our children, and the future of our great city. So now that we've got that out the way, I want to make sure that we're delving now into our topic areas. So today we're focusing in on arts and the creative economy, which I think sometimes gets overlooked as I think it just gets overlooked. And so I wanted to make sure to provide space in the campaign to uplift some of the efforts that are already taking place and share the spotlight with one of my Culver City community of color collective sisters who is very active in this space. So before I officially introduce her, I just wanted to lift up the Culver City Creative Economy Report from 2017 and the 2020 stakeholder meeting that was amplified, and you can see right there at the bottom. So please check those out. We have a lot of city resources, in addition, with the Arts District, the Culver City Foundation, there's a lot of folks who are really active in this space. And so we want to lift it up. The stakeholder report highlights access, connectivity, and opportunity as key focus areas for the creative economy. And it also defines our creative economy as businesses and individuals involved in producing cultural, artistic, and design goods and services. So we're going to just transition onto this conversation. Want to be conscious of the time. So I want to introduce my dear sister and friend, Dr. Giavanni Washington. We co-founded the Culver City Community of Collective, the Collective for short. It's a lot of C's. We also say So we co-founded that in 2018 together with some other amazing women of color here in the Culver City area. And Dr. Giavanni is the executive director for Viva Brazil. So when I'm thinking about the arts and folks who are in that space, again, the arts and creative economy runs the gamut from, graphic design, theater, freelance, you could do this. It's a huge umbrella. But when I wanted to have a conversation about like, what is this time like and what's going on, I couldn't think of a better person to chat with and talk with. So welcome, Dr. Giavanni. Thank you so much for being on Connect with Yasmine.
Thanks, Yasmine. Thanks for having me. My name is Dr. Giavanni Washington, and I am the executive director of Viva Brazil. And we honor Brazil's African legacy through contemporary dance theater by utilizing Afro-Brazilian dance and drum in music, arts education, community engagement, and cultural exchange programs. And I think it's actually really important to note that one of our core values that drives our work is to do contemporary representations that address 21st century issues of ancestry, humanity, race, and social equity. It's actually a thing that we talk about all the time in the work that we're doing. And so I'm always up for having a conversation about equity with Yasmine.
Oh, thank you. So let's get to it. Well, thank you. We're already having questions coming in, so I was going to say that. So please, if you have any comments, questions, please just put them in the main chat on the Vote McMorran page, and we have our team will highlight it and flag it. So thank you so much for already being on top of the ball and participating. We deeply appreciate it. So let's get started. So I just wanted to know, what is it like right now? We are in the middle of, COVID. There's opportunities to do activities outside, but, traditionally going to the theater or and the traditional way we experience the arts is different and changed. So how are organizations like yours, or how are you seeing people sort of respond to this current moment?
I joke internally that we are in the end times, and the climate outside does not really disagree with me. But we had to, when COVID first hit, we kind of didn't know what was going on. We have a lot of grant-funded programs, and it was first a big pause, and then it was, once our funders allowed us to, they actually came, we have state funding, county funding, city funding. They said, actually, we want you to spend this money and want you to spend it in your local economy so we can keep the economy going. So we spun up all of our programming online. Our biggest success, I think, is our community class, which has been going on for 22 years on a Monday night, usually at Nate Holden. And I'd say on an average day, we've got 20 people. On a great day, we've got 40 people. And then with COVID, and I like to call it Queen Corona, as when we went on, because she shut everything down, and I think we need to give her propers. So we went online, we put the class online, and in our first week, we had 400 people from around the world signing up. Wow. And at this point, I don't know exactly how many people, but it's over 1,000 people. And we've got people from 30 states, over 200 zip codes in California, and 31 or 32 countries. So immediately our audience expanded. And I think it's a great success story because it really speaks to, one, I think internet and virtual programming, it was here, but I think people just didn't access it in the same way. And now it's I think this is going to be a way that we do business, but it has really opened up the doors to other communities and other cultural exchanges. We have people who are doing our training from New Zealand to France. It's really bananas.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, one of the positives that's happened because of COVID, is that going online actually really opened doors and let people, we got to share our love and passion for Afro-Brazilian culture with people way beyond our normal population. And then, well, I'll stop there. That's point one.
I love it. I mean, it's great that we are. Oh, thanks, Heather. You're awesome. Shout out to Heather. It's great that in this time we're seeing so much innovation, and I see folks utilizing social media and other things. So I'm glad to hear of the exchanges and that you guys are finding new ways to respond to this moment and thrive, right? We want to make sure that our organizations and folks are able to not just survive this moment, but thrive past it. So I know when we sort of were touching base before, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the impact that AB5 has been having on the creative economy, the performing arts space. And I don't know how much you want to get into it, and it's okay. But I would
do you see the tears? Tears on my face. AB5 was, it had all these unintended consequences for the nonprofit sector. And we're still feeling the financial ramifications of that. I actually think it offers protections to workers who otherwise wouldn't have them. And so in that respect, I'm in support of AB5. The way it was rolled out, I think, is problematic. And sort of the unexpected financial reality of having to find another 12% for payroll was, shocking, and still is shocking. But the potential downside, the potential fines are actually really that they could potentially be very detrimental. So we actually have converted everybody in our organization to be an employee, which is, it's fine. And then I can't remember the name of the bill. It's AB like 2659 or something. That's not what it is. That was passed, I think, this week. And now a whole subset of artists have been, they're exempted from AB5. It doesn't actually pertain to our case, but a lot of people are now. A lot of freelance musicians are actually not required to be employees. So it's a big rigmarole. It's caused a lot of turmoil. And I think, and there was no relenting, there was no release about it once COVID hit. It was like, no, AB5 is still in effect. And so it's dance companies have gone out of business, theaters have gone out of business, musicians have lost, some of our artists lost like every single cent of their income. It's been really detrimental. It's been really devastating, I would say, to the arts sector. Yeah. Which the two of them together have been really horrible.
Yeah. So we talked about how, it's not just COVID, it's not just AB5. It's sort of like arts doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it affects how folks are showing up. We have a question here, and okay, it says, oh, wonderful. What can be done to help and uplift charitable organizations that are an important part of our community? So thank you so much, Justin. We are getting there. You are reading our minds. So we're shifting over to solutions now. So thinking about how nonprofits, or how just folks who are engaged in this space, from freelance to bigger companies, how, as a city like Culver City, which is a smaller city, but we clearly have an investment in the arts, from the Centennial examples to our public art. Like, we have those cute red books, like the audio app that you can walk around and actually hear, things about our public arts in the space. So we are definitely invested in this area. But in this current moment, what do you think can be done? Oh, someone included it's AB 2257. Thank you, Daniela.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Daniela. That's my book. She works for Viva Brazil.
This is a community here, community effort. So thank you. So what are ways that we can show up, either as a just community, as neighbors, or as governments? So what are your thoughts on that?
LA City, I think, don't quote me because it might be the county. Either the city or the county has a model where they actually bring artists as strategists into certain departments. So I know the public health department has one, the transportation department. And I think it's a way to bring in another lens. It's a way to have art making inside of the policy making, so that it's from the ground up. Right. You've got art at every single step. What is art, right? Art is what you use to make sense of the world. And a lot of things, I feel like art is almost always on the vanguard of things. And so if we're making sense of the world on the vanguard, at the edge, we need those people and that thinking and those lenses inside of policymaking at the base, right? So that's one thing I think we can do. We can bring artists into policymaking, which sounds very dry, but I think it could actually be very interesting.
I think it sounds like fun.
Well, you're a policy wonk. You're just
okay, fine.
I think also we could, I spent a lot of time. My child went to Culver City, a school in Culver City for 5 years. I was on the PTA board for 5 years. I was a substitute teacher. I worked at ABPA at the high school. Like I was very, very involved in education. Had lots of long talks with Heather Moses, who is the arts coordinator for the district. Yeah. And, they've been talking about this idea of centralized funding. And a lot of the sort of supplemental art that's happening at the schools is being supported through the PTA. So it's not even across the district. And I think something like that for the city would also be interesting. So let's have centralized fundings where artists can go and get space for a subsidized rate, or artists there's space for them to go and network and collaborate. There's just some sort of financial and I think space is actually really important. Space infrastructure that's supported by the city for artists. Maybe you bring artists into the school and it's city funding. I'm making things up, but it's, I just think there's a way to centralize resources and make access to the resources easier for artists.
Yeah.
Of all genre.
Right. And I think this picks up a little bit on what Justin was saying about how do we uplift charitable organizations who are an important part of our community. I think you talked a little, what you're saying is really like a collective, right? Making sure that we're providing resources and then having some of the bigger folks help some of the smaller ones, or, private, public partnerships, and, making sure that there's that investment and there's that cultivation of this really, really important resource that brings joy, that allows us to get the feels out and just, we need joy during this time. We need the arts. And I think where it's typical, I'm not saying that that's something that we're going to do as a city, but it's typical for things like arts and, to be cut during this time. And I really wanted to uplift this space because it's important for us to talk about these things. It's important for us to invest in our folks because we need this space. So I want to make sure that we're not missing anything. I think based on I think we've covered most of the things that we wanted to get in these 20 minutes. Is there anything else that you wanted to highlight or bring out and uplift to the Team Yasmine community here that we got going?
Well, I kind of want to answer, was his name Justin, or just address Justin's question? I think one thing that can be done is literally just give money. Right? Find an organization that you support, find a mission that resonates with you, find activities and programming that light you up, and give money to the organization. And we actually have a weekly column, it's not a column, it's on Instagram, a weekly post where we do voice, money, time, or talent. And we're lifting up organizations that are doing anti-racist work in the world. Some of them are in Los Angeles, but many of them aren't. But just, there's no excuse for not finding something that lights you up and supporting it with your dollars or with your voice, or putting it on your stories, your Instagrams. Look at me talking about social media. This is amazing. This is hysterical. But I think that's something that
voice,
money, time, or talent.
Voice, money, time, or talent. I like it.
You have options. Like if you don't have the money, you certainly have followers. You have family. You can say, "Hey guys, this is what I'm doing. This is what they need. This is what's happening." Let people, we can leverage all of our networks to get the word out about what's happening. I mean, for example, on October 24th, Viva Brazil is having a fundraiser.
Look at you. Come on.
And we have a $25,000 goal, which we actually need to meet. Like, it's not just a number we threw out there. We actually need to meet that. Yeah. So I'm telling everybody we know that starting September 24th, we're going hardcore. We're going to raise some funds for Viva Brazil.
All right, girlfriend. Well, look at that. And shout out. I want to make sure to let Justin Jamapol is the executive director of our local One-Day Museum, which is a complete treasure in our city. So I wanted to make sure to just shout him out. We already shouted out Heather Moses and, all of the folks who are active in our art space. Thank you so much for your dedication and your giving to our city, because it's incredibly important. And yes, Carlene, always supporting anti-racist work is where it's at. So Dr. Giavanni, is there anything else that you want? I just want to thank you so much for sharing, uplifting Viva Brazil, for all of that you've given to Culver City, from PTAing to the Culver City Community of Color Collective. You are dynamic, and she's also an artist herself. I don't even know how I didn't start there. She is an excellent drummer. She is just, I don't know if you guys can get all of this over the screen, but she is a dynamic soul, and I am honored to be in sisterhood with you. And thank you so much for sharing with us today. Oh, is there?
That is true. That's my child on the green screen.
Oh,
that is true.
So the one thing I would say is, like, just support the progressive candidates. Vote for Yasmine. She also needs money, so throw her donations. And that's all I got.
Thank you for doing the ask for me. So thank you so much, Dr. Giavanni Washington. Thank you so much for uplifting the arts and the creative economy. Of course, we're gonna just plug Vote McMorran. We appreciate any donations, or you can get a yard sign or sign up to support in whatever way that you're able. We definitely appreciate it. November, if you can believe, it's so close. So any support that you can give. So everything, all politics are local. So who we have on the dais is super important, and I would really be honored to represent you and in our community. So there was something I was supposed to, events that are coming up. We are having a town hall centered on public safety. I'm sorry, I'm going off the top of my head. Public safety, and it's been a long day, so excuse me. Public safety on the 26th, I believe at 6 p.m. And we will make sure to put that out. And thank you, Linda. So we will share that out. So I hope you guys can make it. We will also have another Connect with Yasmine, centered on education and just being a mom and dealing with the COVID time on the 22nd. So look out for that as well. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you for sticking in with Team Yasmine and for all of the support. If you didn't ask a question, feel free to shoot us email at votemcmorran@gmail.com. But thanks so much. Really appreciated spending time with you, Dr. Giavanni, and I will see you.
Thank you, Yasmine.
Be safe and well, everyone. Take good care.